Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, distinguished guests, and folks of all stripes, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Salazar Jr., and I feel like I can breathe again. Welcome, Houston Astros fans. Welcome, diehards. Welcome, all of you fans that have not quit on this team. That's not what we do here. Here at the Space Cadet Sports blog and podcast, we're diehard Astros fans. We try to be optimistic. We don't give up in April. I never thought I'd be this happy about a 2-game sweep, but here we are, folks. We did get a sweep. We did get 2 much-needed wins as an organization. I know I am very excited about that. I am very happy today. Folks, I hope you're doing good out there in podcast land. I'm just going to do a quick recap here today on the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. If you're listening to this on audio on Spotify or Apple or Overcast or wherever you get your podcasts, thank you so much for listening. We definitely appreciate it here at the podcast. However, if you want to catch the video version of this podcast that has memes and jokes and a couple more little layers that might make this make sense or at least hopefully a little more interesting, you can check that out on the Substack, spacecadetsports.substack.com. You can check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Space Cadet Sports. I'm here in studio in Los Angeles where the Astros game just ended. We just hit record here, trying to get this podcast out as soon as possible. We do need to do the video editing, but hopefully we'll get it out later today, the same day that the game took place. Carla is here. She's my co-host and producer. She's a good dog, but sometimes she has something to say about the Astros. She just can't help it but want to jump on mic. We do have a rule of how many times she could be on mic in an episode. She is looking at me through the corner of my eye. I'm trying not to look back at her, but she's like, I know you're talking about me. But Carla is here. She is the producer, the Ross to my Frazier. But let's jump into this game recap here, folks. We had Framber Valdez on the mound today, Astros fans. It was a good sight to see as the Astros have been struggling to find starting pitching. It has been a struggle this season to seem to keep, just a regular rotation of guys not on the IL. There's been so many graphics that's been put up during games of the 5 starters right now that are on IL for the Houston Astros. So Framber Valdez being back is a huge add for the Houston Astros. Like I mentioned last podcast, it did come at the cost of JP France. JP France is back down in Sugar Land in Triple-A. So now we have Framber Valdez, and he didn't have a minor league rehab start. So this is essentially like a minor league rehab start for Framber Valdez against the Rockies here in Mexico City. And I'm not trying to be too funny. I do understand that the Rockies have been basement dwellers, but it's not like the Astros have been out here being world beaters so far this April either. So it's not that, the Astros organization or me or anybody disrespects the Rockies in any kind of way, as much as it's just looking at it realistically. We need starting pitching. We need Framber Valdez desperately, kind of like wins above replacement. What is the next other pitcher going to give you that Framber Valdez wouldn't give you in this, kind of rehab type start? So the Astros went with Framber here. He hadn't pitched since April 2nd, I believe. And, kind of get him going in this, different stadium, different environment, kind of try to see if they can get him going instead of doing a minor league start here. I think it ended up going really good for the Astros, for something that could have really been tough if Framber wasn't able to keep his pitches down. It could have been a tough environment for him to kind of find his command again, but it ended up going really well for the Astros. It's close to another quality start from a starter here for the Astros. Both Framber Valdez and Ronel Blancura pitched last game. They combined to pitch 10 2/3 of an inning and gave up minimal runs in an incredibly difficult environment for a pitcher. Not quite qualifying for a quality start, However, I feel like, you got to give it to him as a fan because at least, I'm not sure what else you would have gotten out of our other pitching staff in this situation. You don't want Hunter Brown or any other member of what I lovingly call the Suicide Squad to be out there. I call them that because they weren't the team that we really expected to be out there. We didn't expect them to be our rotation, but Brown, Arrighetti, Belak, Dubin, while I'm really excited about them and I think that we need innings out of them and they can develop here, they haven't given the team much confidence to pitch even in normal elevation. So, kind of sending out another sacrificial lamb, but doing this in a high altitude, is not exactly what the Astros wanted. And Verlander has gotten off to a good start, but you don't want him to get beat up while he's barely getting his season started and the team is depending on that man's confidence and leadership. You don't want to send him out there and have him get beat up and just be like, oh yeah, we still need you to be confident and lead the squad. So kind of happy that it didn't fall on a JV day or a day that we had to depend on JV to pitch. And also, Christian Javier has been great, but once again, he's coming off of an injury. And Christian Javier is also a fly ball pitcher with that invisible. It kind of floats up. It can actually get people to pop up more than not. He could have potentially been eaten up in this high elevation game, even if he was hitting his spots, and hitters were just able to elevate and get a good barrel on the ball. So I am happy that Fromber and Ronell were able to line up for the starts in Mexico City. They gave length. And, once again, Ronel Blanco plays stopper. He ended a 5-game losing streak here. And Fromber picked up where Ronel left off and just continued that consistency. It was good to see Fromber out there. I'm looking up his box score as we speak, but it was good to see him get back on his feet. The Astros definitely needed a quality start here, and like I said, he didn't technically get the quality start stat. However, I kind of give it to him. He gave up 0 walks. He gave up two earned runs and 2 runs this game over 5 innings, 5 hits, and got 6 strikeouts. It makes his ERA down to 2.60 for the young season. After that, we're going to keep going with pitching here for the game recap. Montero came into the 6th inning to continue his bounce back. We're really happy to see it. I'm very happy, and we really depended on Rafael Montero. Sorry, didn't mean that. We need to depend on Ronald Blanco now, but we weren't thinking we were going to depend on him early this season. However, me looking at the middle relief early this season, I was thinking we're really going to depend on Rafael Montero having a solid season again, and he's building himself back up, is what I'm trying to say. He might have a rocky outing here or there, and his stats aren't exactly popping off the page yet, but he is gaining confidence and getting some consistency. Hopefully, his 1.00 WHIP and his 0.20 200 BABP. Oh my goodness, I'm really struggling here. I just got a call. I didn't have I'll be honest, I didn't have my notifications off here, so I just got a call and I lost all my notes. But yeah, so I can't find the stats in this moment, but his stats aren't looking exactly great, but there are a couple promising things that you're hoping that essentially that the balls that are getting hit aren't getting hit in good spaces, and if he can limit the walks, will hopefully be more of what we are depending on. Then sorry about that flub there, folks. Definitely turn that do not disturb on next time. Brian Abreu came into work the 7th inning, and he got 2 strikeouts and worked to lower his stats this season. It can be very difficult for relievers to start the season off and have atrocious starts. Their numbers it takes a while for them to get enough innings to kind of have them regress back to the norm. So it's nice to see Abreu have a good outing here. He's putting it together a bit more. His strikeout rate is improving right now to 27%. So we're just hoping that Abreu can keep building this way and keep looking up. And speaking of building up, we're working our whole back into the rotation kind of the way it would be scripted here, the way Espada would like to play it. If the starter can only give you 5 innings, we go Montero, Abreu, Presley, and Hader. So for the 8th inning, we go with Presley here. Presley has been has been building himself back up. It hasn't been as rocky as it has been earlier this season. He gave up a rough hit that kind of lined past first there, but he gets out of the inning with 2 strikeouts. Didn't seem like he really had to sweat too hard there. I believe he did kind of get a little too close to a batter with one pitch. I definitely was setting up the podcast in the late innings, so I think I will have to go back and rewatch some of the later innings there. But it did look solid. And Hader came in to pitch the ninth. He needed to get some work in. We know it was a non-save opportunity, but that immediate single that he gave up gave me a little agita. At this point of the game, the Astros were up. Obviously, we have Hader in there and a non-save opportunity, but but I was really nervous, based off the Astros have been playing this season. Sometimes the late innings have been where they have given up the game. However, that's not what happened here. Hader fanned the next batter, and he got out of the inning safely. The announcers said at one point during the game that his slider is lacking a bit of a bite that Hader mentioned in an interview recently. So we're hoping that slider can find its teeth and that Hader can kind of go back to being the strikeout guy he is, and kind of his stats need to regress back to the norm too. And like I said, sometimes you get off to just such a bad start. You give up a lot of runs, you give up a lot of numbers. Sometimes it's going to take some time to get those numbers back down. So we'll have to try to look to other numbers to see exactly how Hader is doing, how he is improving. I definitely meant to start with the offensive side of the game here. I think it's funny that I went into pitching. You could tell that my notes are a little disorganized here, folks, but that's okay. We're going to go to the offensive side of the ball here. I kind of buried the lead. I was very excited to talk about this, but Jose Altuve, the heart of the Houston Astros, Mr. Worldwide, he hit a home run for his fans there in Mexico City. The fans there love him. You can tell that yesterday. You can tell that both days, but you can tell yesterday Jose Altuve was looking to elevate some pitches at times, had to take some walks, and that wasn't exactly what he wanted. But you have to. I'm glad that he took the walks and didn't just keep swinging to try to hit the home run. But he got that home run today in the third. But let's just go a little more chronologically here. I know I just had to start with that. You love to see it. But in the first, Jose Altuve, he stole his 4th bag of the season in the first, and then he was on second when he stole the bag, so he was on third. Or I'm sorry, he stole from first to second after Bregman ground out. Altuve advanced to third, and Jordan hit a sacrifice fly to center to bring Altuve home there in the first inning. Astros already on the board. Really happy to see them up 1-0. There's been a lot of games this season where the other team has gone up on the Astros immediately, and it's hard to have those games where the Astros are just down in a hole already so early in the game, and it's happened so frequently. It's nice to see the Astros put runs up early. After that, they were reading my mind because Tucker yammed one straight to, or I should say, to right center, put it 2-up, Astros up 2-0. In the bottom of the first, it was really nice to see. I mentioned earlier, in the third inning there, Jose Altuve hit a home run for the fans out to left field, put the Astros up 3-2 after a tough inning for Valdez there in the second. So the crowd, or the third, I should say, the crowd is absolutely going wild. You love to see it. Jose Altuve, he pretty much gets booed everywhere he goes. And I think it's kind of funny because even sports writers on the MLB network are writing articles saying it's kind of sad because fans don't know that it's been reported that Altuve did not participate in the sign stealing scandal. So it's kind of there, black and white, but you really can't argue. I've spent so much time as a bartender here in LA, speaking to LA Dodgers fans, speaking to sports fans that just have their mind made up about what the scandal was and what it wasn't, and they just completely are going to be blind to their hate for the rest of their lives because they don't want to see fact. It's kind of fun to see Altuve go out there and get cheered in an international game, in a game where he is technically away, and kind of give the fans a show and put up a home run for the fans. I love to see it. I know Altuve was happy, and the fans there love to see it. In the top of the fourth, JP3 decides it's his time to shine and hits a jalapeno popper to left center, putting the Astros up 4-2. And yeah, you love to see that too. JP3, Jeremy Pena has had a good start to his season. It looks like his kind of slumping days are over where he's struggling to find home runs. He is getting some good exit velocity. He's getting some good pop out there, folks. And then it was kind of quiet for a while for the Astros offense until the eighth. Jake Bird came in and hit Caratini in the eighth. It wasn't on purpose. Caratini was struck in the ankle and went down pretty hard. Jake Bird placed his hand on his chest to apologize. And I just bring that up because it's a big move when you're playing a game like this, trying to expand the brand of baseball. It's really big of the man. I respect it. In a time when you kind of have to be a fierce competitor, you kind of have to have a chip on your shoulder and always have to be aggressive. It's nice to kind of see a guy be like, hey, man, my bad. Like, we don't want these fans here to think that this is what we do here in the game. We're not here to hit dudes. It was really big of him. Sometimes in life it's good to take the high road. Unfortunately for Bird, it was a tough outing for him. He walked Caratini, obviously, and then he walked Tuve the old-fashioned way. Bregman decides to sell some of his salsa to the international market, hits a liner to center to drive in Caratini, putting up the Astros 5-2. With no outs, Jordan lines out and advances Tuve, and then Tucker grounds out and scores Tuve. The good guys are up 6-2. Then Pena takes a walk. Unfortunately for Bird, like I said, big classy move for him. Unfortunately, not his day on the mound. They did a pitching change. However, it did not matter. Yaner Diaz doubles and scores Wild Soul and Pena to put the Astros up 8-2. It was a great game. It was a really great game to watch. It was a great game to see. Obviously the Astros win 8-2. Framber Valdez ends up getting the win. Gomber gets the loss. It's nice to see the Astros sweep a series, even if it's just a 2-game series. I know that we'd love to see more wins out of this team, but we need momentum. Sometimes when you're just sliding down, you just need something to grab onto. And that's what the Astros have right now. They have something that they can hold on to and that they can use as momentum to go forward, because we're going to have an off day here and we're going to be back at Minute Maid Park. And while the Astros fans and the Astros themselves and probably Joe Espada, everybody probably is like, if they're not using this stadium, maybe we can play our home games here for a while until we figure it out. But they're going to have that opportunity to go back to Minute Maid Park and to get that momentum going for them there. It's really nice to see this. I was very happy Jose Altuve hit that home run. The Astros put up not only just a sweep, but during the nationally televised game, they put up a good performance. It's kind of been a meme that whenever the Astros score more than 10 runs, they lose the next game. So they're also shaking that meme off their back. Not that that's a huge narrative, but hey, you shake the meme narrative, you definitely are winning some internet battles there, Houston Astros. So big up on you. We're just going to see how they do here. They're going into, they're going back home to Houston, and they're going to be playing Cleveland there at home for their next series. Thank you so much for listening to this recap. We will go on to, talk about Cleveland at home on another podcast or another blog. You could go check out the blog at spacecadetsports.substack.com. You can go there, become a subscriber, where you'll get all of the podcasts, all of the blog posts, all of the memes directly to your inbox. You could even become a paying member there, where you can support the podcast, support the blog. We are brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you so much for that PBS moment. I hit the mic. That's how you can tell I'm a professional here. Actually, that's how you can tell I could use your money for the subscription services, so I can get better equipment, so that I'll just bring in a better host. You never know. You never know, folks. But no, thank you so much for your support. You can find us also on Instagram and TikTok at Space Cadet Sports. You can find Carla if you want to find cute Carla pictures. You can find those on Instagram at good.dog.carla. Thank you so much for listening. If you're listening to this podcast in any kind of service, please give us a 5-star review. If you're a Houston Astros fan, you want to join this community, please share this with friends. Please check out the Substack. You could find me personally and my silliness at Paul Salazar Jr. on social media. You can check out the website, paulsalazarjr.com. Or I should say Paul Salazar Jr. Sorry, Paul Salazar Jr. It's all right there under the screen, I should say. But thank you for listening. We appreciate you here at the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. The Astros are turning the page, finally, it looks like. Hopefully they not only turn the page, but they close that damn book and go to another library. I don't want that story anymore. hopefully they'll move on. They'll shake off some of these stories, some of these narratives, some of these ghosts of Christmas past, and we'll be able to enjoy the rest of the season as Houston Astros fans and get back to the golden era of Houston Astros baseball. Thank you so much for listening. I've been Paul Salazar Jr. on the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Vamos, vamos Astros. My nose was so itchy.